today. The Denver Broncos in every phase, the offensive line, their defensive backfield, and certainly Jake Plummer have outplayed them in this first half, and it shows.
Every aspect when they shut down Corey Dillon, the back who embarrassed them so badly when they played last 3 years ago on this field. Plummer pump faking, takes a look, end zone ball, and it's overthrown. And that leaves the game clock at 19 seconds. I should amplify some, Steve, on the talk about John Elway in the Hall of Fame. There's nothing been announced yet. That's my opinion. What do you think the chances are I'm wrong? It'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Let me just climb out on that limb with you. John Elway.
Without a saw.
Yeah. John Elway is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he deserves to be. I mean, he was as good as I have ever seen, and he deserves it. And the Denver fans and the Denver organization should be very proud of him.
The whole league is. Here's Jake Plummer making a throw in the flat, beautifully executed, a timing throw to Rod Smith, who turns out on his former teammate Torrey James and gets the ball down close with 15 seconds left to play.
Yeah, now they're going to send out the field goal unit, and that was one of those plays they wanted to stop the clock. Maybe if Rod Smith could break a tackle and get up the sidelines and get in, that's fine. But now it's a chip shot for Jason Elam, who is as good as there's ever been, and it's automatic if I may jinx him on this kick.
A 27-yard field goal try by Elam. Not right down the middle, but good enough. And lead builds for the Mike Shanahan and his Broncos. They're up 20-3 now. And the first half is almost out. Tuesdays this fall on CBS, they're a team of special agents whose mission is to investigate crimes in the military. Mark Harmon stars in Navy NCIS, premiering Tuesday, September 23rd, only on CBS. Mark, a former option quarterback at UCLA, and a good one. His dad, Tom Harmon, Heisman Trophy winner from Michigan.
And Marvin Lewis, you have to wonder right now, Don, what's Marvin Lewis going to say to his club at halftime, down 17 points in his first game as head coach? You see there.
Say we got to do something about Clinton Portis, Steve. He's run the ball 13 times for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Clinton Portis. They got to do something about Rod Smith. They got to do something about Jake Plummer.
I don't know how you can stop Portis. These blocking angles, these offensive linemen that the Broncos have. No matter whether they go with stunts and everything else, they get an angle on the pursuer.
And the thing you forget, Clinton Portis makes these great runs, he breaks tackles, he finds holes, but the thing you forget about him, he's explosive through the hole. When he gets into the secondary, he gets there very fast, and if the linebackers aren't exactly there, it's a big game.
Here's the kickoff, hit downfield by Knorr, down to the 3-yard line, a bobbled ball by Brandon Bennett. Well, I'll tell you one thing, they got some good-looking special teams on the Broncos also as they converge on the ball.
And the Bengals are finding out that when you get a good football team and you're playing, and when you're down by 17, the other team wants you down by 24, and then they want you down by 30.
By 100 if they can.
That's right.
Coming down to make the play was Nick Ferguson. There is Clinton Portis. What a back he is, and he's like your former teammate on the Bills, Thurman Thomas. Thurman said every time he played, he was motivated because he was drafted in the second round. That somebody that he played that day
passed him up,
and that's what Clinton feels. That's going to be it for the end of the first half with a score: Denver 20 and Cincinnati 3. So Clinton Portis had a day already, 90 yards in the first half and 2 touchdowns. And what do the Bengals do now, Steve, to try to get untracked?
This is exactly the thing that Marvin Lewis didn't want to happen. He did not want to get down by 17 points in the first half and have to go into halftime and try and dig out some positive aspects out of a half where there was very little to be happy about. His team has got to hang together. Good teams do this automatically. They go in, they say, hey, we're going to come out, we're going to battle, we're going to fight till the end. Cincinnati, it's been so long since they've been a good team, you don't know whether they're going to be able to respond.
We'll be back with the Nextel halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
Follows football today right here on CBS with the men's.
Start the third quarter. Turnover count Cincinnati 2, Denver 1. Total yards, the Broncos have 196 total yards. Cincinnati 104, but it's the play of Clinton Portis, 90 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, and the execution of the Broncos. An absolutely magnificently prepared football team to play this game. Every weakness that the Bengals have, they're capitalizing on. And the Broncos get the ball to start the third quarter as the spinning kickoff is hit downfield. Coming up on the ball is Chris Cole. Kickoff coverage has been a problem for the Bengals, but this time they have him, and now they don't have him. He's not done till he's to the 30-yard line, so what looked like it was going to be a 10-yard return turns out to be a return of about 30 yards. Don Criqui with Steve Tasker. It's interesting mathematically, Steve, teams that win on opening day are more than twice as likely to make the playoffs as teams that lose.
Well, when you come out on opening day, it all boils down to how prepared are you. When you can get prepared to play on an opening day, when you know the opponent so well, it's an indicator of how well you can prepare the rest of the season. That's what it's all about, Don. If you can prepare week to week better than your opponents, you're going to win more. And opening day is an indicator.
Well, this Bronco team is so well prepared. Here is a handoff, and they come hammering. We look at the offensive leaders of the Broncos in the first half.
There's really not any surprises, Don. I mean, it's Jake Plummer, who was 7 for 13.
Somebody blew a hole in that football, Steve.
That's right. And
Might
this
have been
is the
Clinton
guy.
Portis busting
Clinton
through
Portis, yeah, he's gripping it too tight. And then Rod Smith. Those are the 3 guys. And if you're the Bengals, what 3 guys would you like to stop before the game starts? Well, it's Rod Smith, Clinton Portis, and Jake Plummer, and they haven't got it done.
Let's see what the Broncos go to open now the third quarter from scrimmage. Play fake. Sidearm throw, and that's a good read as they go to Portis. Jake Plummer looking downfield, didn't see what he wanted deep, so he takes the secondary receiver, and Portis is ahead for a gain of 9 yards.
One of the things I think that Jake Plummer's finding that is really a relief to a guy like him is having a Clinton Portis or a Shannon Sharp. Somebody is always there available to him, so when he starts to have trouble in the pocket or have to sidestep somebody, there's always an option. He didn't always have an option in years past, but on this team, not only does he have options, he's got Pro Bowl options.
Well, he's got a 3rd and 1 right now, and he takes it himself. Jake Plummer puts his head down at 6'2", 212. Plummer, as we mentioned, said in the offseason, I've yet to prove myself a consistent winner, but it's quite apparent that he has never had the coaching he's getting from Mike Shanahan and Gary Kubiak. Kubiak, the offensive coordinator, an integral part of the success story at Denver, his 9th year as the offensive coordinator. He's been a finalist, Gary Kubiak, for 3 head coaching jobs with the Browns, the Saints, and the Texans.
One of the things about Mike Shanahan, you thought he was going to fall into the same trap some coaches do, bring a guy in, he can change him, but he didn't want to change Jake Plummer. He knew Jake Plummer had what it took, and he could work in this offense.
Now they drop back. Plummer throws up the middle of the field and comes in high at Dwayne Carswell, who's very much a secondary receiver. But he was wide open. Nobody was covering him.
That was on Jake Plummer. That was a bad throw. And watch as he lets this go. And if you stay with him, watch what happens. He knows that's on him. That was a bad missed throw on his part. He missed Carswell, and he was wide open. And that's really, he has had some incompletions, but that's really the first really bad throw I've seen him make.
See his numbers for the day. The 1 interception was on a tip ball, and it led to the only score of the day for the Bengals. They went down the field and kicked a field goal after having 1st and goal inside the 6. Plummer makes a throw, and it comes in low, and it looks like Rod Smith got it. Beautifully done. What a success story Rod Smith is. In his 9th year out of Missouri Southern, a free agent. His first year with the Broncos in '94, he was on the practice squad.
That's unbelievable. That's just a story, and there's so many guys on this field today who just hung in there and kept their careers alive. Rod Smith, a guy who was just another rookie free agent, and all of a sudden he's a guy that a lot of teams wish they had, and that's a testament to what Rod Smith has from his neck up. He's a sharp guy and dedicated.
He is. Now there's a delay of game, it looks like. A penalty marker thrown.
I think the Bengals are going to challenge that last catch. It looked like it might have skipped on the ground just before he caught it, and we'll see.
Rod Smith, we were talking about, had 89 catches a year ago.
Cincinnati is challenging the call on the field of a completed pass.
And he has the Bronco record for touchdowns, 49 touchdowns during his career. So while the play is being challenged, Marvin Lewis saying it was bobbled. We'll pause for this word. Jerry Austin still reviewing. So we'll take a look at what he's looking at. And this is probably the definitive one. Looks like he has his hand under it and has to, of course, be ruling on the field was a catch. So
right.
I guess here is it will not be overturned. It'll be a first down.
From this angle, it looks like he catches it. His hand's underneath the ball, even though his hand's on the ground. I think it's underneath the football. But doesn't really matter what you and I think, I guess, the truth be told.
But it has to clearly show he bobbled it usually. Because
much to my chagrin, we have no say in the matter.
Well, here comes Jerry Austin out. A good second look. He got a good look at it. Our producer today for CBS is Victor Frank. Our director, Craig Silver. The executive producers of the NFL on CBS.
After reviewing the play, as the ball comes into the receiver, he gets both hands under it. As he turns, he loses control of the ball, and it touches the ground. Therefore, it's incomplete.
Incomplete. All right. Including our thanks to our production team. Our executive producers are Sean McManus and Tony Petiti. So Mike Shanahan sees for the first time something go a little bit wrong today.
Yeah, that's you and I. We argued about it. There's some people up here, we watch it, and some people. That's a 50-50 proposition. I think it's a good idea for the Bengals to roll the dice there because it was close and it happened right in front of their bench, and it went their way. Very unusual, though, Don. It's not. You don't see those overturned very often.
No, it has to be, well, clearly an indicator that the call on the field was incorrect, and so that's what Austin ruled after looking at it. So it's now third down coming up. Route kicks in, 3rd and 10, the ball on the 43-yard line of the Broncos. Jake Plummer dunks it over the middle. Clinton Portis hammered, driving. He is taken down short of a first down. Knocked out at the 50. He needed to get to the 47, a 7-yard gain. Justin Smith, who was the sack leader last year with 6.5 for Cincinnati.
That was a nice defensive series for the Bengals, forcing them to punt it away. It was only gained 20 yards, just short of 2 first downs, and they're going to get the football back. That's what the Bengals needed, was to get the offense of the Broncos off the field for a change.
Peter Warwick, ever dangerous, is back inside the 10. Punt is hit high. It'll be tough to field. Warwick's going to let it hop. It takes a big roll. Down to the 6-yard line. So Warwick could have fielded that. He didn't signal care catch. He just waved off like don't get near the ball, but he did not have his hand up. That's the concern about him as a punt returner.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, a symbol of freedom. Proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 38. Circuit City, we're with you. And by Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
We're back as the Bronco offense goes to the sideline, and the Bengals come out now with John Kitna at quarterback, 1st and 10. But deep in their own end after Warwick let the punt roll and it was downed. Good special teams play by Denver. Kitna standing in. Dumps it over the middle. And another incompletion, and the impatience of this sold-out stadium with the inept offense of the Bengals continues to build.
And here's the leaders. If you call them as 65 yards and an interception for John Kitna. Corey Dillon, I've seen him start out like that in games and end up with way over 100 yards as well, Don, so you still have to continue to watch Corey Dillon. But John Kitna, this is the one thing I think Marvin Lewis did not want to see. He does not need the fans and the public opinion to start hollering and rooting for Carson Palmer to be the quarterback.
No, but there's nothing he can do about it. It's going to happen unless he moves the team. And now Dillon runs, who had only 24 yards up to that carry. He got about 3 there. And there is Palmer, 6'5". 230 pounds, and as Kitna told us, we asked him, what do you think of Palmer? He said, I can't believe a rookie quarterback can have the ability he has.
Well, today's the 3rd quarterback for the Bengals, so even if he does come in, it won't be until very late in the 4th quarter. And you see there, standing next to him, is Shane Matthews, who is a veteran, just the kind of guy you want as a 2nd-string quarterback in the NFL. A lot of experience, and has been a starter at some point in his career.
Third down comes up. Third down and 7 as Kitna goes on the shotgun. Here comes the heat. Kitna is intercepted, and it's run in for a touchdown. Ian Gold takes it in. And at this point, you've got to start thinking about a backup because John Kitna is awful.
That was a bad decision by John Kitna. He was going to get sacked and tried to make something happen in desperation, and it blew up. And you can see some of the Cincinnati Bengals players as they walk off, they are just disgusted.
Boy, you're not giving your team a chance when you do something this stupid.
This is an incredibly bad play. You see there as Trevor Price grabs Kitna in the backfield. He tries to make something happen right into the arms of Ian Gold.
A happy guy, Ian Gold, fourth-year backer from Michigan. Kitna talked about all the speed in the Denver defense, and he said it's built around super fast linebackers. Well, it was just illustrated there as the Broncos roll on to a 27-3 lead. Harkening back there's Ian Gold, who just scored the touchdown of the interception. And Marvin Lewis's remarks, Steve, about teams and players are judged by their ability to handle adversity. Well, his Bengals overwhelmed by adversity on this opening day 2003 as Brandon Bennett runs it back. Gets to the 25-yard line, and he is taken down by Donnie Spragan. Here's a room service interception for a score.
This is, yeah, exactly right. Trevor Price causes the play, gets his hand on Kitna, it causes him to panic, and he gets flat. He sees a flash right there. Corey Dillon, he can't get him the football, and Ian Gold just walks into the end zone, and that's a team that is playing desperate, and it's just not coming. That's backyard football, and you can't play backyard football in the NFL and expect to win.
Ian Gold got the touchdown there, Steve, but it was Trevor Price who really set the whole thing up. He had the heat and the graps on John Kitna. Now Kitna rolling out, makes the throw, and a poor one.
And it's going from bad to worse, Don, for John Kitna.
He's not ready to play against a defense this coordinated.
Well, he's not getting much help. I mean, Marvin Lewis is going to go back, and he's going to look at the game film of this game, and he's going to realize two things. They were 2-14 last year, and he's going to have to get more good players to do anything more than 2-14 this year. Now, that guy right there is a start, but they do not want to throw him in there and have him end up like David Klingler and Akili Smith. They've been down that road before.
Yeah, they have. That's right. Akili Smith was the third player picked in the whole draft. He was a total bust. Kitna has thrown 16 passes, completed 7 for 65 yards. No touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and now they get some running room. On a second down and 10 carry, they're ahead to about the 35-yard line.
And that's about as good a...
Corey Dillon's probably best of the day.
That's as good a run as they've had all day. You're right, Don. There you're looking at the defensive line, and this is a time when the defense of the Broncos are just foaming at the mouth. They cannot wait for the ball to be snapped. They want more of this. They want more shots at Corey Dillon. They want more shots at John Kitna. They want to force turnovers. This is a game that they can't get enough of right now.
They're down. Here's a blitz. Kitna's in trouble. They get him back inside the 30. Bertrand Berry, a sixth-year player from Notre Dame, gets his second sack of the day. He almost had 3. Came to the Broncos as a free agent, waived by the Indianapolis Colts. And right now, the offensive line of the Cincinnati Bengals absolutely can do nothing with this coordinated pass rush.
Bertrand Berry, a guy who's out of football in the year 2000 and now starting for the Denver Broncos. And Mike Shanahan continues to find players that can help him. And John Kitna is looking for some help right now.
The punt by the Bengals, hit downfield by Harris. Delta O'Neal is back, pedaling to his 22. Turns the corner, and he's down at about the 27-yard line. Tackled by Kevin Casefaharn. So after a 52-yard punt and a 6-yard return, it's the Broncos' ball when we come back.
On CBS is sponsored by IBM, official information technology partner of the NFL. And by Visa. If you love the NFL, it's everywhere you want to be.
To Cincinnati, where the Broncos now have the ball at their 28-yard line. As you look at the score, 27-3. The quarterback thrust of the Bengals. Kitna, Palmer, Matthews. Not a lot of conversation for poor John Kitna, who's been overrun a lot by the pass rush. And now the throw, and his defense isn't quick. Is coming over, making a hard strike as the middle backer, Kevin Hardy.
You know, Don, the reason that the Broncos are playing as well as they are and looking as good both offensively and defensively is it starts with the guys up front. The offensive line of the Broncos is one of the most athletic in the National Football League. They're not prototypical, if you want to call it that, offensive linemen. These guys are more athletic than most teams have. They're able to move laterally much better than most offensive lines are. They're much better at getting into the second level of the front seven and finding Clinton Portis more room to run.
2nd down and 8. Clinton Portis has found room for himself a lot of times.
Not that time.
Oh, no, that time they filled the gap. But the Broncos now the luxury, Steve, of being in a clock control offense as there's 7:50 to play in the 3rd quarter. Commanding lead.
And this is when you need a Clinton Portis. And this is when you need that offensive line. And this is an offensive line, I think, Don, that's better when they run at the tackles, not inside the guards, but at the tackles. The offensive line runs so well, they are able to get outside and leverage block where other teams cannot. And that's why Clinton Portis can cut up the field and find room.
Jake stands in. There's the throw and a catch. Beautifully executed as he gets the ball to Rod Smith for a 1st down on 3rd down and 8. 11-yard gain. That offensive line of Salam, Hamilton, Nalen, Neal, and Lepsis. Terrific.
Watch here as Rod Smith comes out. He'll stop, come right back out. You see the defender that was guarding him is inside, so he moves away from that's Mark Roman, the safety, coming down inside to grab him. And instead of crossing or going all the way across the field, he pivots back out and has great leverage for Jake Plummer to find him. And that's just great reading by the receiver and a great shot by Jake Plummer.
And Jake under control, 10 of 18 completions, 99 yards, the 1 interception on the tip ball. Back to Portis, head down. Tough guy taking on big defensive lineman.
Lost his helmet there. And I think, Don, this is almost to the point where you see Dan Neal getting a little shoving match with the defensive lineman of the Bengals. This is the point where one of those games where Clinton Portis may have 35 carries. I mean, this is a thing where you want him to carry this team. He doesn't. He's not a fumbler. He's a very safe running back to give the football to. Let Jake Plummer throw a 5-yard pass for a 1st down. And that's what this offense is all about for the Broncos. Keep control of the football. You can't get beat if you've got the ball the whole game.
And they're doing exactly that as they go back to the run. And Portis taking out tacklers. The Bengals striking hard, though. They're coming up and putting hits on him. Rogers Beckett, a former Charger, hits him. Chargers getting blown out today at Kansas City. And next week the Broncos will be at San Diego. Then the Broncos come home for their home opener against who else? The Raiders. That's always fun. I'll tell you one thing. The Broncos last year got off to a 6-2 start, finished 9-7, and missed the playoffs for a 2nd straight year.
That's amazing.
They aren't going to go into a tailspin this year, I don't think.
No.
I think the motivation on this team is it's palpable when you're around them. These guys are
full of professional athletes, not just good football players, and that's the difference.
Throw and a catch. More good work. They get the ball downfield. A big Dwayne Carswell, the blocking tight end. They don't go to him often, but this time they get 11 yards out of the connection.
You have to look at this Cincinnati Bengals team. I think next week will be a huge test for them. And how are they going to show up not only on Sunday at game day, but how are they going to show up Wednesday when Marvin Lewis starts to install his 2nd game plan? Are they going to accept it? Are they going to be there with a good attitude? Are they going to continue to work hard? Is he going to be able to keep them on board with him? Because if they start to jump off, this team will tailspin like it has for 12 years.
Well, if the tail spins off of one bad game, I mean, they're not professionals. Here's a long ball by Jake Plummer. He's got a guy, and the interception is made inside the 5-yard line. And it's a live ball. His rule is not down as the ball is taken back. And so the ex-Bronco Torrey James makes the kick and returns it 27 yards.
I don't blame Jake Plummer for this interception, Don. He throws this up for grabs, and that's Ashley Lally has got to make a play on it. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Torrey James looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to make a play on that if you're the wide receiver. Ashley Lee's a young receiver, and he's got to help his quarterback. He's got to pick that football up and make sure that Torrey James can't get it. And that's a young receiver who just hasn't learned what his job is yet. Forget about catching the ball. You keep that guy right there from catching it.
Well, there's the other cornerback for the Cincinnati Bengals, Jeff Burris, is saying what a joy it is to be on the same team with Torrey James. Just a great individual, a great player. And, of course, started on a Super Bowl winning team for the Broncos as Dillon now runs, and there's a penalty marker down. There are Burris and James.
You know, those two guys there as they sit there, and Jeff Burris, a #1 draft pick for Buffalo back in '94. Torrey James, who, of course, was, as you mentioned, on a playoff team, a good team with the Raiders last year and like 2 years before that. Those two guys remember what it's like to win, and they can see down the road perhaps at the light at the end of the tunnel.
On the defense, 15 yards, automatic first down.
Here, as I was talking over, that's a 15-yard face mask on that run by Corey Dillon. You hate to see that.
Well, Corey, I'll tell you one thing about Corey Dillon. You talk about tough people as far as physically tough. He's got to be on page 1 of that book.
This is a guy that,
if you talk to him, he just can't wait to run at people.
He just wants the football.
Great player. He's a Hall of Fame player in the making.
You are right.
One of 4 players in history to gain over 1,000 yards his first 6 years in the league. As the throw is made, they go to an unlikely target, Jeremy Johnson, the rookie fullback from Western Kentucky. So they go deeper into the playbook now, does Bob Bratkowski, and try to open some things up.
Well, one of the problems, John Kitna has struggled so badly. One of the reasons is that the Denver front 4 is absolutely dominating the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line. They've got plays called now. If you'll notice, John Kitna is getting rid of the football as soon as he drops back. There's no more of that. And Bob Bratkowski's smart enough to know his offensive line's getting manhandled. He's got to get the ball out of John Kitna's hands as fast as he can.
Has to be quicker drops. He's going to 3-step drops. 1, 2, 3. Heel hits and the ball's away in a short pattern. 1, 2, 3. Now he gets a little more time. Makes the throw over the middle. And the carry after the catch by Corey Dillon is good for the first down.
And this is some of the things that have happened, Don, for John Kitna. And you'll see every time something happens, he's either running for his life like he is there, away from pressure or for the interception. And then on this one where he's got Trevor Price hanging on him and he tries to make something happen. He has been under duress all day, and that's the story. The front 4 of the Broncos has made life miserable for John Kitna.
Now he hands off, and Dillon is caught behind the line of scrimmage. Coming in to get him is Ian Gold, the touchdown maker. But really, you can't credit Trevor Price enough for that touchdown, because he had Kitna in the grass, was twisting to the ground when he just threw the ball away, trying to make something happen. We made something happen.
Ian Gold had never had an interception up to that point, and he gets one for a touchdown. And Trevor Price literally almost took it away from John Kitna and handed it to him on the way by. I mean, that was absolutely picture perfect. Room service, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't get easier than that.
Now second down arises. Bengals need 14. Here comes the rush. That's Price, and Kitna does well to get outside the tackle box. And he is just beating Willie Anderson.
Trevor Price had more trouble running wind sprints in training camp than he is having running by the offensive line of the Bengals.
See, this time he comes inside, and he's beating the rookie guard, Eric Steinbach.
It's like he's playing against air. I mean, Trevor Price is all over the football field today for the Broncos. This is a guy that has had 4 seasons where he's had 7 sacks or more. He is
got 41 sacks in the last 4 years, and 3 of the seasons was a defensive tackle. Kitna gets some time, throws to an open receiver. This is Brandon Bennett inside the 40-yard line on 3rd down and 14. They punt here. They're sending the wrong message.
I agree. Well, they went for it on 4th and 11 earlier in the game in the first half. You got to go for it now. You can't punt this back to the Broncos the way they're playing offense. Give your offense a chance to gain a little self-respect. Now they've got their starting right tackle, Willie Anderson, limping off the field.
Well,
So
Trevor Price, but you're talking about Trevor, Steve, and when he walks into a room, immediately you say to yourself, there's a guy I want on my team. That's a fine-looking tackle, defensive end. Here is a handoff, and not much happening as they go to a A draw play on 4th down, really. The Marvin Lewis era is starting off badly. Last year, the Bengals were embarrassed on opening day on this field by San Diego. Just as bad opening day of 2003. We're back on opening day 2003 in Cincinnati. Marvin Lewis debut as a head coach in the NFL. A lot of optimism coming in, but so far nothing good happening. The Broncos have been the dominant team, and again they go the reverse. Worked every time, works again to Ashley Lilly. Penalty marker is thrown. Shannon Sharp's jumping up and down. He might have been called for an illegal block.
I think that Shannon Sharp knows what that flag was thrown for. Now you look at this Bengals team, Don, and Marvin Lewis for so many years wanted to be a head coach, yearned to be a head coach.
Offense, 10 yards, repeat first down.
And you called it, Don. Shannon Sharp gets called, but Marvin Lewis was a leading candidate for so many years to be a head coach, and he's learning a painful lesson today in Cincinnati that you better watch what you ask for because you just might get it.
Yeah, well, it's a long way to go, and you know, like we were talking to some of the coaches yesterday, and they're saying, you know, we talked about how they're twice as great a chance if you win opening day, you'll make the playoffs. Well, how about the Tennessee Titans? They went 1-4 to start the season. If you look at the Lewis log, he was assistant head coach and D coordinator for Spurrier and the Redskins last year.
For those of you who don't know, that's a spotless resume.
And the Tennessee Titans, after the 1-4 start, ended up a game from the Super Bowl, went to the AFC Championship game. Quarterback ratings today, what do you think they are, Steve?
I'm going to say that Jake Plummer is just a hair ahead of John Kitna.
What numbers would you think?
I'm saying Jake Plummer's got to be in the 90 range.
He's 31.
31?
And Clinton Portis is shaken up. John Kitna right now has a 22 quarterback rating, but Clinton Portis, boy, he is a tough customer. Clinton, he takes those hits. Not a big guy as running backs go.
I think he got his.
He's all right.
Looks like he got the wind knocked out of him. We'll see if we can see it here.
He'll be out about 30 seconds.
Yeah, or he may be out for the rest of the game. This might might turn into a preseason game for the Broncos and wrap him in bubble wrap and leave him on the bench.
Both quarterbacks have 2 interceptions today and no touchdown throws.
Well, that'll do it to your quarterback rating.
Clinton Portis said he's up to about 208, 210 this year.
Just got over 100 yards on the day.
He didn't want to tell us, Steve, what he really weighed at the end of last year. He said, what about 200? He said, oh, maybe down to 190 somewhere. Like the low 190s. Here is a throw by Jake as he is hammered.
Yeah, they got to throw him. They did, too.
Roughing the passer as they got Adrian Ross.
I'll tell you what, Don, that was an outstanding play by Jake Plummer. Watch what happens. He sees him.
Smart play. Number 16.
And what's wrong with that?
In the area. 10 yards.
They call it intentional grounding.
Third down.
I thought they called it a late hit.
No,
I didn't see a late hit.
No, that was actually a pretty good play, and it looked like it was going to be a late hit, but it wasn't. His intentional grounding. I don't know if I agree with that because there was a guy out there where Jake Plummer threw it.
Adrian Ross, who made the big rush, is a former Ram from Colorado State in his 6th year. Worked up to a starting linebacker position this year. 57.
And there's a guy. Well, it passed a guy out there. No, I think Mike Shanahan was closer than anybody else, and he's not eligible.
Third quarter winding down and out now. Third down in the long yardage. 3rd and 24. And here comes an angry defense. They haven't given up anything, these Bengal defenders. They come hitting again. Mike Anderson carries, and he is knocked down by Jeff Burris and John Thornton. As that's the end of the third quarter with the score. The Broncos 27, the Bengals 3. We'll be returning to Paul Brown Stadium with the Broncos in command of the game after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Don Criqui with Steve Tasker ready to start the 4th quarter. As we ask, has your Fantasy Football League manager let you down? Well, it's not too late to switch to Fantasy Football Commissioner on CBS Sportsline. Just click on Fantasy Football at CBSSportsline.com or on America Online. Enter keyword CBS Sportsline. Here's the punt hit downfield. Peter Warrick is back. Fields it at the 35. And a terrific special teams play again by the Broncos. That was Anderson who came down and got him. Now we ask a question of you. How important is a week 1 win? Is it vital to a successful season? Important, but not a season breaker. Nice, but not a must-have. Not important at all. Cast your vote at NFL.com. If you say not important at all, you shouldn't be watching football.
It's important, but not a season breaker. It's bigger than a regular season game, but there's such a long season ahead for both these clubs. Anything can happen. But there's nothing like a good start, and the Broncos have gotten it today.
First down. John Kitna shortening up his patterns. Here's a tip ball. It's up for grabs. And Reggie Hayward moving at the ball. Young defensive end. One of the compliments Kitna had for the Bronco defense, he said, you look at their years in the league, it's primarily a young defense, but they disguise everything so well. He said they're very well schooled and coordinated.
Well, that's the sign of a top flight defense. I mean, they're where they're supposed to be, and not only are they there, they're there with confidence and some enthusiasm. And this Denver Broncos defense has shown that today.
Ooh, a bobbled ball. Ian Gold almost had another one. Lenny Walls tipped it, and Gold was the last to have his hands on it. He's already been in the end zone once with an interception. And so that stops the clock with 14:39 to play in the game.
Well, sure, this is so well played by the Denver defense. Kitna's got to get rid of it, throw it between the hands, and that was well defended there by Lenny Walls. And that's just, they bat it up, and it seems like wherever there's a loose ball, there are more Broncos around it than there are Bengals.
Now Kitna on 3rd and 10, sets up in the shotgun. Gets some time, long ball. He's got a guy wide open, but he can't get to the ball. Chad Johnson had the defense beaten soundly, and Kitna's just a little bit too long with the ball. It would have been a touchdown.
And even at this point, that's a 1, 2, 3 and out for the Bengals offense.
That was one of their best plays, though.
Yeah, and here in the second half, the Bengals defense has played much better than this offense. They have just missed at every turn. You see there, John Kitna just needs some help, and he can't make anything happen.
Not many guys in the field as fast as Chad Johnson. It's for certain that Kenoy Kennedy isn't one of them. He's the one he blew by the safety. Now the punt is angled out of bounds, and it goes out of bounds just outside the 35. It'll be 1st and 10 at the 36-yard line for the Broncos. We'll be coming back to Paul Brown Stadium on a beautiful day in a moment. We're back with fourth quarter moving on now in the Cincinnati Bengals. Only once close to the goal line. That was when they had a 1st and goal at the 6-yard line and only came away with a field goal. Actually, it ended up a much longer field goal because they had a penalty before they kicked it a second time. And now it's 1st and 10 for Jake Plummer and the Broncos. McCaffrey in motion. He's not caught a ball today. He has a streak of 67 straight games catching a ball. Another reverse. Rod Smith, and he gets plus yards close to the 40. They saw something, Steve, about this defense. It over-pursued because they're running reverses all day long, plus yards every time.
Well, the Bengals were one of the top teams in the league statistically in the preseason. And right now, they're still playing like it's the preseason because the Broncos are in the regular season, and they have really turned it up. But you're right, Don. I think they've run at least 5 end-arounds, and you don't do that against a team who's not vulnerable to it.
They've really been vulnerable to it. Now they go to straight-ahead football, and Clinton Portis shaken up a little bit ago. Back in, doing his good work. He's got the gain of about 2 yards. He keeps the clock running. As Eddie Mack, as they call him. What a player he's been.
Well, back in Denver, his wife Lisa and his 4 boys, Max, Christian, Dylan, Lucas. What happened to Dad today? He hasn't caught a ball. Look at that. That's a record. 67 consecutive games that he's played in. Now, he lost a season with a badly broken leg.
91, yeah.
And when he's in the game, they get him the ball.
2001. Came back last year to catch 67 passes over 900 yards. Got over 500 catches in his career, 443 as a Bronco. Of course, McCaffrey spent time with the Giants 3 years, who somehow waived him in their wisdom, and he went to San Francisco under Shanahan for a year, and he's come back to be a tremendous force in this offense of the Broncos.
And now, as you see Ed McCaffrey, they're coming off still without a catch. has to be happy with the outcome of this game.
Warwick backpedals to the 5-yard line. Making people miss, but not all of them, as the Broncos are so in position covering kicks. Just tremendous coverage. 55-yard punt, a 6-yard return. Willie Middlebrooks was the guy who finally got him.
CBS is sponsored.
The Bengals break the huddle, trying once again to get something going against a Bronco defense that has really shut down everything they've tried. Here's a long ball over the middle. It is taken by the tight end, Matt Schobel, a second-year player from TCU, and he's all the way out to the 49-yard line, a gain of 39 yards on the play, so they go deep to the tight end.
Well, they feel like they've really upgraded their tight end position this year. Matt Schobel is the pass-catching tight end, right up the inside edge of the numbers, trying to split the deep safeties, and they got it done. Schobel is the guy they bring in for just that exact purpose. He's a good route runner and a good blocker. The other two tight ends for the Bengals are run blockers. This guy they throw the ball to.
Schobel's brother is a starting tight end for defensive end for the Bills, as now they get John Kitten in the grass for a loss of about 6 yards. Third sack of Kitten today.
He's been harried all day.
Reggie Hayward got in there.
That defensive front of the Broncos continues to be right in his lap. He stepped up, had no time to go from his first option to his second before it collapsed all over him.
Look at those numbers. Sacked 3 times, hurried 12, knocked down. Knocked down 7 times. Now it's 2nd and long. He's been here before today. He throws over the middle. Nicely done. He makes a connection to Kelly Washington, a rookie wide receiver from Tennessee, who they think could be a tremendous player. He has 4.4 speed and he weighs 225 pounds.
This is a guy that's got a great body for the NFL. I mean, this guy is bitter. He's a practice squad guy, but one of these guys you love to have on your team. He's intelligent. He's bilingual. He speaks fluent German. He's that kind of guy. I mean, this is the kind of guy Marvin Lewis wants on his team.
Coming up a neck injury. Now they're throwing slants up the middle and getting first downs doing it. So the ball is thrown and completed, and it's ahead for a first down as Peter Warwick comes in out of a slot receiver position right over the middle.
Down we were talking, and earlier on, John Kitten was taking 5 and 7-step drops, and they moved it down to 3-step drops. I mean, now he doesn't have time to take 1 step. I mean, he's just trying to get rid of the football any way he can, because it's either getting batted down or he's getting crushed in the pocket by the defensive line of the Broncos.
Kidna, hands off. Running hard with the ball is Brandon Bennett, the backup to Corey Dillon, and he takes it inside the 40 on a first down carry. He got about 2 as the leading tackler was Ian Gold.
The Denver Broncos are really starting to do some things defensively. They're giving the Bengals problems. Even now, even though their defensive line, you see those guys lined up right there, they're starting to bring guys off the edge. They're starting to do some things. They have not checked it in. This is what you and I said earlier. If you got a 20-point lead or a 24-point lead, you want 30.
Well, Kidney gets time this time, and almost another interception as he overshoots the intended receiver, Chad Johnson. We asked Mike Shanahan yesterday, how would he rate the division? He says, well, everybody in this league thinks their own division is the toughest. But he said one thing about our division, we've got 4 owners, starting with Pat Bowlen, who all want to win. They'll spend what it takes. So you see some other teams said, guys, $12 million under the salary cap. How much do you want to win? How much do you want to make money?
You're right. I mean, you saw there that graphic. When this guy gets a lead, he knows how to hang on to it. The Denver Broncos are a very difficult team to come back on.
Timing throw, nicely done, gets short yardage. But somebody is always in position. It's very hard to beat him deep. One guy has all day, and that's Matt Schobel. And another open receiver deep, Chad Johnson, who blew by the safeties, but the ball was overthrown. That would have gone for about a 60-yard touchdown.
Now it's 4th down, and once again, for the 3rd time in the game, the Bengals are going to try and go for it. They're 0 for 2.
Well, I know they won't run a draw again. I shouldn't say that.
The Broncos are going to bring some heat, I would imagine.
Here's the guy they're going to go to, Warwick in motion. Number 80.
Here comes the blitz.
Looking at Warwick, making a throw. Oh, almost intercepted, incomplete, and so the Broncos again take over. as the Bengals fail to convert on a 4th down try. 9:10 left to play. Broncos in command of the game. 27-3. Back to Paul Brown Stadium. Don Criqui with Steve Tasker. Opening Sunday of the 2003 season. 9:10 left to play. Broncos have been in command throughout. Their new quarterback, Jake Plummer, in his 7th year in the league. Working the offense. Hands off. Whether there was a football, it was a helmet. And 2 brothers, 1 kid, no grown-ups. Charlie Sheen stars in the new comedy 2.5 Men, premiering Monday, September 22nd. After Raymond here on CBS. Jake Plummer 11 for 21 throwing the ball, 109 yards. No touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But hey, listen, they pay off in final numbers. It's 27-3.
You got that right. They've dominated. Absolutely dominated.
Jake gets time, throws the ball, he's picked off. Boy, that's a nice play by the defender, and who else but the ex-Bronco? That's Roman who got it. Mark Roman comes up and gets that one. So Jake's now thrown 3 picks today.
Jake Plummer in his throws has consistently been behind the receivers. When he comes up and throws from the pocket, he has not put the ball out in front of the receivers. You see there, that is well behind Shannon Sharp. The exact same story earlier when he threw an interception, and the balls that have been bad have been well behind every receiver he's tried to find.
Mark Roman takes a seat. Here, safety from LSU, and now another ball is turned over as Kitna loses the ball, and the Broncos
turned over.
Have it right back, and John Kitna should be removed from the game. I don't care how poorly you think his offensive line is playing. He is totally incompetent behind it. 4th turnover of the day for Cincinnati.
Well, so begins the debate, Don. You and I. You think Carson Palmer should take every snap, and you have a good reason to think that.
Well, Peyton Manning took every snap of every game for the Colts when he was the #1 draft choice in the NFL. And look where he's gone. One of the great players in the league at his position. Last year, the Houston Texans had the #1 pick. It was a quarterback, David Carr. He took every snap of every game last year.
And you know what? Both those guys were playing on better teams than this Cincinnati Bengal team. Even the first-year expansion club in Houston won more games than this club did a year ago. That guy, Carson Palmer, would have absolutely no chance to be successful if they put him in.
Okay, well then what you do is you stay with John Kitna, go 2-14 again, and then have a new beginning again in 2004.
Cincinnati challenges a call on the field of a fumble.
And Mike Shanahan believes that might have been a fumble, and they're challenging this downstairs.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Warner Brothers' new motion picture, Matchstick Men, and by 1010-987. A rate so low never went so far. 1010-987.
Now they're looking at the review. I should amplify also on the Kitna. I mean, I don't think any announcers in the league, and we've seen the Bengals last year, have given John Kitna more good words when he had good games like last year in 6-game stretch. The Bengals had 350-plus yards a game total offense, one of the most productive offenses in the league, even though they were losing at the wire. But do you think it's a total breakdown in the offensive line?
I think they're
some
just
bad decisions go with it.
Yeah,
After reviewing the play, the quarterback takes his arm back to throw a pass. But before the arm goes forward, the ball comes loose in his hands. The ruling on the field stands as a fumble. Cincinnati is charged with their first timeout, and that is their last review opportunity.
And you'll see here, the rule says if he comes back and there's an empty hand, you'll see there. And I thought that was very close, Don. I thought that could have gone either way, but they probably, because it was not indisputable, and this you'll get a better idea.
I'll tell you one thing, Steve.
I think it was an incomplete forward pass, but it does not go the way of the Bengals, as is one more thing today.
Trevor Price makes my all-pro team. Oh, man, he's in on everything. Here is a handoff to Portis. Hit and dropped as Rogers Beckett comes up and hits him. Let's watch a highlight package of Clinton Portis having yet another big day. This tremendous second-year player.
From start to finish, Clinton Portis has been a huge weapon. I mean, this guy's having a day-to-day. If this continues, I mean, as last year, he's going to be an MVP candidate if this keeps up. I mean, this is a guy that got it done all of last year, and he's picked up right where he left off. This is a guy that's going to be one of the absolute elite players in the National Football League when this season's over.
Well, today, Steve, he has 107 yards rushing, 39 receiving. Total offense for Clinton Portis, 146 yards. As Portis runs it again for a first down, he keeps building his numbers. I mean, of all his stats of his fabulous rookie year, I mean, the 5.51 yards per carry, best in the NFL.
And, you know, they have this saying where good backs get stronger in the fourth quarter, and that's a pretty accurate assessment of what happens. But the truth of the matter is this. The Cincinnati Bengals are getting tired of tackling this guy. He is coming just like he did in the first quarter, and it's the fourth quarter, and the Bengals are lumped up, and they just don't want any part of him. And it looks like he's getting stronger when in reality the Bengals are getting softer.
Well, he could be getting stronger because he did that last year as he runs again. Last year they played, Broncos played 5 games in the month of December. And in those 5 games, Clinton Portis, a rookie weighing in the 190s, had 166 yards a game total offense each on an average.
And those are the guys. That's the series. That's a pretty good company right there. LaDainian Tomlinson, Ricky Williams, Priest Holmes, and Clinton Portis. And the thing that sets him apart, that was his first shot at it. I mean, right out of the gates in his career, he's putting numbers like that up. And you can continue to expect great things from this guy.
And this team is as motivated as I've ever seen a Bronco team. I mean, they're always well prepared and well motivated. This team has a real fire that's been fanned by failing to make the playoffs last year. Anderson runs a penalty marker down, and the criticism that's come, you know, what are you going to do without John Elway? They've not been to the playoffs since John Elway was their quarterback, or they've not won a playoff game. The last playoff game they won was after the '98 season when they won Super Bowl 33 against Atlanta.
Offside, 94 defense, penalty is declined. The result of the play is a first down.
And Mike Shanahan, we sat down with him yesterday. He's really a forthright guy. When he sits down, I mean, he tells it like it is. And his belief is simple, and all the the best ones have the same one. If you do everything right, if you absolutely do everything right, make every decision the way you're supposed to, you can't guarantee that you're going to win. But if you don't do everything right, I guarantee you that you won't. And that's what the Bengals are trying to learn, and they're getting taught a lesson today.
But even in their 2-14 season last year, the Bengals went right down to the wire with some of the best teams in the league. I mean, they blew a chance to beat Tennessee when a lineman accidentally tripped Corey Dillon on a goal line play from a yard out, 4th down, and they would have won the game. So they were close in a lot of games in that 2-14 season.
They were close in a lot of games, Don, but you know what? You don't sneak up on anybody on opening day. Nobody's looking past you on opening day. And the problem with the Cincinnati Bengals, especially today, they don't get to play the Cincinnati Bengals on opening day. The Broncos do.
Now they got the same offensive coaches for the most part. Paul Alexander's the offensive line coach for the Bengals. As Jake the Snake takes a look, throws a ball, and comes in high. And looking in the direction of Shannon Sharp.
Jake Plummer has not been accurate today. They're going to win this game, and they're going to look good doing it. But Jake Plummer's going to watch this film. He's going to be a little bit disgusted with himself.
Well, he's 55%, just over 55% for his career as a passer in the NFL.
That's probably what he'll end up today in a blowout, and that's not good enough.
Career 69 quarterback rating, but you also have to add in he was playing for the Arizona Cardinals.
And you know, today that I've noticed, he hasn't had to run much at all. He's been standing in the pocket.
The Elway fans in Ohio also, as right now, Jake on 3rd down and 9. Stands in, makes the throw, and a connection to Rod Smith, who's taken down by Jeff Burris.
One of the things that's going to happen to the Broncos if they continue to play offense like this throughout the year, one is teams are going to pile in and try and stop Clinton Portis, and then they are going to take away the short pass from Jake Plummer. They're going to try and get him to throw down the football field and air it out because he has been very inaccurate in that aspect of their offense, and they're going to make him do it.
Look at the team you led to 4 straight Super Bowls, the Bills.
Having a good day. I don't know if I led them. Let's say I tagged along.
28-0 over the Patriots. Beat him badly twice last year. Here's Jay. What a kicker this guy is. 39-yarder. This guy's automatic, and so are the people who connect with him, the long snapper and the holder. Mike Leach, long snapper. Right now we want to tell you about a great event coming up on CBS a bit later in the day. It's the grand finale of the world's toughest tennis tournament, the men's final from Flushing Meadows, as Andy Roddick takes on Juan Carlos Ferrero. It was up at 140. Jake Plummer, his opening day, not extraordinary statistically for him, but certainly a terrific day for the Broncos. They were just ready to play great football.
Jake Plummer's going to have to be more accurate passer for this team to have aspirations of going deep into the playoffs. There's no question this is a playoff caliber team. Absolutely no question at all. Even against as they should have. And Jake Plummer, with the help of his teammates, are going to come out with a victory, and Marvin Lewis will continue to try and rebuild here.
But one game does not a season make. As we talked about the Tennessee Titans, a 1-4 start. The owner, Bud Adams, was blasting the head coach, Jeff Fisher, questioning whether or not this team was well prepared enough. These guys rally back, win 10 of their last 11 games, and end up in the AFC Championship game, and might be an AFC favorite this year. Certainly one of them.
Well, you look around the league, you'll see that great teams have great leadership, Don, on the field, not on the sidelines, not in the front office, but players on the field. When you have great players on the field, your whole team is better, not just those great players.
Well, here's one of the better kick returners in the AFC, Brandon Bennett. This time he works it out for a 25-yard return to the 25-yard line. Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes, then it's Without a Trace at a special time, followed by the CBS Sunday movie Breakdown, starring Kurt Russell and Kathleen Quinlan. It's all here tonight on CBS, America's most watched network. Steelers, man, they're hammering the Ravens on opening day, 34-7. Could be some big upsets. Right now the Texans are leading the heavily favored Dolphins in Miami. Throwing a catch, and Warwick gets the ball, but there's nowhere to go as Kelly Herndon runs him down.
Now it's getting to the point where you can even see the Denver Broncos defense. They're looking around. They look up at the scoreboard, less than 4 minutes to go. Got a big lead. They're starting to realize they feel pretty good about the game they've played. You can see the intensity levels drop just a little bit. With that tackle.
I'll tell you one, this is a good-looking receiver, though, this Kelly Washington. He was a third-round draft choice with 4.4 speed at 225. He had a neck injury, which dropped him in the draft, but he might be the fastest Bengal, and he's big. Getting the throws. Schobel makes the catch. Hard hit put on by Sam Brandon, who says that he and Kenoy Kennedy will one day be the equal of Steve Atwater and Dennis Smith as Broncos safeties. That'll take some doing, Sam.
You can't blame him for his goals. Those two guys are playing. You may as well set him high. Yeah, it is a heck of a goal. We'll see.
Long ball. Man is open. That is Chad Johnson, and he comes down with the ball. Touchdown. 41-yard touchdown play. So they got Johnson deep earlier and couldn't get him the ball. They overthrew him to Kidna. Now he hits him on a spectacular play by Johnson. And the first touchdown for the offense of the Marvin Lewis Bengals.
They've missed on a couple of opportunities. You see there, Chad Johnson, not much of a celebration, not much to celebration. You know what, Don? That's a good sign right there. Great play. Still disgusted with the way he played. His teammates played. Not happy about it, but still out there fighting.
Well, he's caught 5
look on his face. Yeah, the look on his face is a positive. That is a positive for the Cincinnati Bengals. You'd love to see that.
Challenge is a call on the field of a completed pass.
On Denver's going to say that he was down by contact when he landed and rolled into the end zone. Before he gets into the end zone when he's down.
I
think he might have.
He's rolling.
Delta O'Neal. I think he got touched on his way down. You're right. That's O'Neal right on his heels. He'll clip him right there.
No, I think it's a touchdown.
I don't know. I think it might be. He touched him on the way down. I think that's good enough. I think they're going to give him.
Also, this is not the deciding play of the Super Bowl. These guys are hopelessly out of the game.
I think that's good. I think he's going to get. I think he's going to touch it down because he was. Well, I don't know, because he touched him before he had complete control of the football. And in the day and age of what they say in the NFL, you have to complete the act of catching the football before it's considered a reception. So we'll see. Now there he's got the ball. It's still not a catch until he lands. And once he lands, he has not been touched. So I think that's a touchdown.
That's a terrific play by Chad Johnson. First of all, the catch is phenomenal.
Yeah, you kind of lose sight of the fact, since we're looking at the hands and feet and whether he got touched. That's a tremendous catch.
Yeah, watching him on the practice field Friday, it's hard to believe how fast this guy can run. He is really fast.
And that's the thing that sets him apart. I mean, they've had receivers here in the past, Darnay Scott, Carl Pickens. The thing that sets this guy apart is he's interested in how the team does. He is a team player. He works hard. He goes the extra mile. He wants everybody to do well. He likes his numbers. He likes his catches. But he is interested in team success. You couldn't always say that about players who've been here in the past. And those are the kind of guys that Marvin Lewis is finding out about. 41% of the players on this team, as I said before, are new. Marvin Lewis came in and really overhauled, and a lot of the players that have been around started to look over their shoulder for the first time in their careers, and that is a good thing.
That gentleman on the left of Chad Johnson, he's been with the Bengals since I think the first game. Great guy, Sam. Equipment room. He has been a big part of the Bengals. This is a tremendous guy.
You know, every team in the league has got those guys. Been there since day one, been there for 40 years. You got to have them.
Denver challenged the play that the pass was incomplete and that it touched the ground. There is no replay that shows the ball after it passes the receiver's body. The only shot we have shows the hand under the ball. Therefore, we stay with a call on the field of a completion. The receiver was touched, but he was touched prior to possession. Therefore, the score count.
That's right. Touched before he landed, just like we called it, Don. And that's interesting because Mike Shanahan thought it was incomplete. He didn't think he was down by contact. So, and I think under these rules, it's excellent that the officials can take all of that into account.
Now, here's something the fans will be interested in. Denver has a total of 283 yards offense in this game. How many do you think Cincinnati has?
60.
283, the same.
That right?
Bill George, our statistician. I hope you're not making this stuff up, Bill.
I got to start guessing better. That's for sure.
You never let the facts get in the way of a good story.
That's right.
So a great play by Kitna, and particularly by his receiver, Chad Johnson, so they do not go away without a touchdown on opening day.
There's an interesting comparison. There's Greasy's first start as a Bronco. 24 for 40, 3 TDs and no interceptions. Plummer 12 for 24, no TDs and 3 interceptions. And that's been the story of Jake Plummer's career. He throws interceptions. And you saw today the reasons were his arm. He was not accurate enough to put the ball in there. He was missing his receivers.
But if you win 30-10 though,
easy to gloss over.
Change pitchers.
Yeah, it's easy to gloss over 3 interceptions, especially, well, one of those interceptions was a tipped pass at the line of scrimmage, but he did miss some open receivers, and he won't be completely happy, as you never should be when you watch game film. But this is the point where Mike Shanahan's going to sit him down and start coaching. There's a whole different set of problems on the other side of the football field.
And it is game 1, and if you want to draw encouragement from anything, you look at the Tennessee Titans, 1-4, and they just missed going to the Super Bowl. It is not over after week 1. They have a tough one next week. The Steelers come in here, and they are laying waste to the Baltimore Ravens today. Kickoff is hit hard downfield. Delta O'Neal is back. Ingram's kickoff, and O'Neal, who is very fast, gets out to the 15-yard line.
His heart wasn't in that return. I mean, Delta O'Neal's a great cornerback. He has great coverage skills, has great ball skills. But our guy Deion Sanders back in New York, if you compare the way they two played, Deion Sanders was Ray Lewis compared to the way Delta O'Neal plays quarterback. He does not like to tackle.
And nobody's ever accused him of over-practicing. He's just got so much natural ability.
He does. I mean, that guy is a phenomenal athlete.
Well, he got benched at the end of last year. He wasn't that phenomenal.
He's not a physical corner, and you got to be at certain points in the NFL season.
Ryan goes to big Mike Anderson, a guy that's hard not to root for, the former Marine who was the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year.
There he is, Steve Berline.
17-year veteran. I saw him this morning. I said, you're going to play longer than George Blanda. They did quite a sales job. They actually sent Plummer to Charlotte, where he's living, to convince him to come back as his backup. Monday, Dave's All New with the very funny Jack Black. And later this week, don't miss Salma Hayek, Cuba Gooding Jr., and Sharon Stone. Dave's All New all this week right here on CBS, America's most watched network. Dave blowing some things up there.
You know, Steve Berline is exactly the kind of quarterback you want to have playing behind Jake Plummer, because if something happens, he's been around so long, it's all football to him. You can call it different things, you can have different types of formation, different vocabulary, but he has seen it all.
Has he? He's been a Pro Bowl player. Pitch back, gets the ball to Mike Anderson. The impressive thing about Mike Anderson now is his per carry average for his career. He's averaged 4.6 yards a carry. The limited carries last year at only 386 yards rushing. But his rookie year back in 2000, he had almost 1,500.
Well, I think the good thing to notice about Mike Anderson, this was a guy who was a 1,000-yard rusher as a running back, did everything they asked him to. He's a great special teams player. And then when Clinton Portis came in, he says, I'll play fullback. I just want to be on the field. He has moved into the fullback position, doesn't get very many. He's quality. I mean, look at this list of the guys they've had back there. Terrell Davis, obviously one of the great ones ever, had that unbelievable '98 season. And then you just go down the list. I mean, maybe Mike Shanahan has a crystal ball about who he picks, because all these guys were passed up by everybody.
It's amazing. I mean, a lot has to go with the offensive line play, the overall schemes. When you get, you know, the Terrell Davis in the 6th round, here's a guy who's just retired after 8 seasons and 7,600 yards. It is amazing what they do with the runners. High rounds, low rounds, they're all productive. 3rd down now coming up for Berline and the Broncos. Rolling out. He's got an open field to look at. And he's heading for the 12th man and bails out.
And he got the first down.
Berline is a high school player at Servite High School in Southern California. One of my nephews played with him. Started only 1 year.
By the way, where do you go to college? I don't know.
Notre Dame. He started 4 years.
Oh, is that right? Funny how you'd know that.
And he wants to be a broadcaster. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to keep playing though. I said, well, this your last year? He said, I don't know. I like it out there.
No kidding. I mean, this, you know, why give up this gig? I mean, you're on a playoff caliber football team on a franchise that's second to none. Hey, man.
This is a man I think predates Jerry Faust. Mike Anderson runs the ball and gets to about the 28.
There's an old saying in the National Football League, and guys started asking you, how long are you going to play, how long are you going to play, and this is how it goes. You say you play as long as you possibly can and then play one more year. So you can take from it what you want, but that's what that's the program I think he's on. Play as long as you've got a spot on the roster and then try and squeeze out another one.
Oh, you're talking, Steve, that Jake the Snake went down to Charlotte, and he actually sold Steve Berline is coming back as a free agent to back him up. He's got a lot of good things to say about Jake Plummer. Steve Berline does. He thinks he's got it. Yes, are Sean McManus and Tony Petitti. The coordinating director is Larry Cavallina. Today's game was produced by Vic Frank and directed by Craig Silver. The senior producer of CBS Sports in the NFL today is Eric Mann. The director is Bob Mattina. Coordinating producer of CBS Sports is Harold Bryant. The associate directors of today's game, Sean Gerchikoff. The broadcast associate is Sarah Rinaldi. The technical manager, Tom McCarthy. The technical director, Clark Sabo. And the audio supervisor, Mr. Devin Fouts.
There's Eddie Mack.
We thank them all for their usual very good work. As right now, it's down the stretch, and they'll try to fire it downfield. Kitna going the duration. Throws on the run. He's got a guy. It's tipped. And These Broncos are in position on defense. It's tough to get one by them.
Well, I think even at this point you can see the Broncos are staying very disciplined in the secondary. Their pass rush is still working. John Kitna still has to step away from pressure. And the Broncos are going to find very few things as a team that they can feel bad about. Jake Plummer is not going to feel very good about no touchdowns and 3 interceptions.
But everybody feels good about opening day with a dominant win on the road. Another road game. They can win in San Diego. They'd be in a 14-game season with 8 at home with a 2-0 record. Pretty heavily weighted towards making the playoffs. You start that way, the Broncos.
There's a lot of football left to be played. Anything could happen here, even in Cincinnati. But you got to think Marvin Lewis has his sights on turning this team into a playoff contender. But I'll tell you this, Don, if it takes 2 years, there'll be a lot of guys starting on both sides of the football for the Cincinnati Bengals who will not make this team in 2 years.
Well, today it's the Broncos dominating 30-10 as we're now down to 20 seconds left to play. From the shotgun, Kitna with 4 guys running deep patterns. Here comes the heat. She says, Steve, you have the ball. Violence will soon follow. A long ball downfield. A lot of people jumping for it. It's incomplete and very nearly picked. Intended receiver was Warwick, and now we have 8 seconds left to play. Al Wilson, we were talking about we met with Al yesterday, how absolutely he was on fire to play this game. He was on the field when Corey Dillon ripped him for 278 yards the last time they played.
Yeah, this is a defense, and one of the good things you'll see about this team is the teams that win championships in the National Football League are able to bring defensive linemen in waves, keep the defensive linemen fresh, because the offensive linemen never change. And in the fourth quarter, your D linemen and the pass rush is still fresh.
And today, Corey Dillon ended up with 14 carries for 34 yards. Here's a throw, and Schobel catches another one. This guy's really good and courageous. He knows the hits are coming. And that is it. A long completion to Schobel as the Broncos win decisively 30-10. Now for Steve Tasker, I'm Don Criqui saying so long from Paul Brown Stadium. Right now we're going to go to Jim Nantz in our NFL studio in New York. Thanks for joining us.
All right, thank you so much, Don and Steve. From Jake the Snake to another.